Thank you for joining me this morning. Normally, if those of you that have joined me before know that when I do these, I love to be outside in my beautiful garden. But today I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because I live in the city of Orange and we are having a really bad heat wave right now. I was just in my yard to gather these plants and it's already about 90 degrees out. So myself, like the plants, are going to be very withered out there. So today we're going to be inside. So the topic for today is California native plants. And as the director of the Coastkeeper Garden, I have a lot of experience growing native plants. The Coastkeeper Garden is about 40% native, and we have a really large selection of native plants. Today I've chosen some of my favorites to share with you and to give you some tips and tricks on natives. So to start off, let's talk about heat. Today's a perfect example. What's really great about native plants is that they do really well in California's warm summers. The beauty of the native plants is oftentimes they do not need to be watered during the hot months. In fact, one of the things that is probably the trickiest about growing native plants is there are certain native plants that do not like summer water, or they don't like to be watered when it's hot. I have learned through trial and error many a time by killing a native plant, and the reason that it died is because I watered it. So it's really important that you look up your individual native plants and find out what their specific water requirements are. There's a plethora of information on the internet, and I'll give you some tips of places you can go to get information. There is about, maybe 6 or 7 really great native plants that really do well here in Orange County and also in the Inland Empire. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those today. So I'm going to start off with one of my favorite plants, and I've got a great big huge one here. Thank you to Native Sons Wholesale Nursery. I have a beautiful Ceanothus, and I don't know if you can see the blue purplish blooms on this, but this is a beautiful plant. Believe it or not, there's actually over 200 different types of Ceanothus. If you go to a native plant nursery, I'd highly recommend that you go to a nursery called Tree of Life. It's in San Juan Capistrano, and they have a lot of different varieties of Ceanothus. There are some that get really tall, like this one, and then there are some that stay low. There's some that stay lower. Let's see, I have a little low one. Here we go. I don't know if you can see this guy, but there are some that grow like ground covers. What's great about the Ceanothus is that they are a host plant for butterflies. So the butterflies come, they lay their eggs, and you'll get caterpillars, and you'll also get all kinds of local butterflies. I have a lot of Ceanothus at my garden over at the Coastkeeper Garden, and I would say it's probably my favorite plant. One thing I've learned though, if you live inland, for example, the Coastkeeper Garden is in Orange. They need some shade. So in Orange, I try to pick a spot that gets some afternoon shade. Now, my mom lives in Seal Beach, and at the beach, they can take full sun. I planted one in her front yard, and there's no shade anywhere, and it looks great. So you kind of have to figure out what your zone is. And what's really great, and I know I've mentioned this before, if you go on the internet, there's a great site called Coastkeeper. It's just C-A-L and then S-C-A-P-E. It's run by the California Native Plant Society. And the beauty of it is you can type in your zip code, and then it will list for you the plants that grow in your area. So if you type in your zip code and then search for Ceanothus, it'll tell you which types of Ceanothus do better in hot heat. But in general, I've found that if you live inland, they do like a little bit of shade. Okay, my next plant that I wanted to talk about is this, and this is called Lilac Verbena. And this is Lilac Verbena de la Minta. And this is one of my favorite natives. What's beautiful about it is that it blooms like this at least 9 months out of the year. The butterflies love it, and it's just a really great filler plant. It only gets to be maybe about 1.5 or 2 feet high, and the butterflies just love it. And it's really easy to grow. I have yet to kill one of these, so I would highly recommend this. This is a really great plant. Another really fun plant to add to your California native garden are Artemisias, and I have two little small ones here. And what's neat about these is that they have a really, really unusual type of foliage, and they also have an unusual color. If you can tell, this is a little bit of a silver tone. You don't normally see this in foliage in plants. And this is a California sagebrush. I have these growing at the Coastkeeper garden. And what's really fun is that once the plant gets bigger, it actually produces a slight bloom with some seeds. And I have these now popping up all over my garden over at the Coastkeeper garden. So it's a really fun plant, and it gives you a different look than most plants. The birds love them. It's a great attractor for birds. So I would highly recommend that you plant some Artemisia. And you can see this one's about ready to bloom, which is really nice. Okay, now another really great native plant, and this one doesn't look its best because we've been having a heat wave. I got these plants a couple weeks ago, and I've been babying them along for today, but this guy didn't cooperate as well as some of the others. This is called woolly blue curls, and this is a great addition to the garden. It does not like summer water. So one thing I must tell you is that the best time to plant native plants is in the fall. The fall is great. The best planting opportunity is December, January, February. March is kind of pushing it, but if you can plant around Christmas, if the weather cools down, you can plant as early as Thanksgiving, but that winter time is really the best time to get all of these plants established. By the time summer rolls around, they'll be established and they can go without summer water, which is really great. So this is a really great addition to the garden. It's called woolly blue curls. Okay, let's see here. My next favorite plant that I want to talk about is called a flannel bush. And a flannel bush, this actually will get to be about, maybe 3 feet tall. But what's great about it is it gets these beautiful yellow blooms, and this one has one bloom, but normally the whole thing would be full of blooms. The butterflies love it. It's just the birds love it. It's just a really unique, beautiful plant. Again, they do not like a lot of water when it's hot. I have actually had an issue with that at the garden. So again, when you plant your native plants, be sure you research their water needs. The other thing about native plants that's really important is that native plants have a period of dormancy. Most native plants tend to go dormant when it's hot. And so when you pick out your native plants, you want to pick out plants that don't all go dormant at the exact same time. Because if you pick out plants that go dormant at the exact same time, what you're going to end up with is a yard where everything looks dead. So if you go on the Tree of Life Nursery's website, they actually have a calendar of plants. And if you can pick one plant that blooms each month of the year, that'll provide you with year-round color. So it's really important that you do that because that way you don't end up with a yard that looks like for a couple months where it looks like it's just a sea of weeds. So that's another really good tip. Let's see here. One last plant I want to mention. This is one of my most favorite plants. This is actually called a manzanita. And there are lots and lots and lots of varieties of manzanitas. What manzanitas are known for is the color of their bark. They have a real beautiful burgundy color. It's just beautiful. And they come in a ground cover. They come in a medium-sized shrub, and they also come in a great big huge tree. So manzanitas are almost one of the easiest natives to grow. The birds love them. The hummingbirds come, and when they bloom, the hummingbirds stick their beak in the bloom. They're just gorgeous. I have about 6 different types of manzanita over at the Coastkeeper garden, and I just love them. So again, don't be afraid to try natives. You know, gardening is a trial and error. It's a process, and everything is a learning experience. I have tried lots of natives. Some have done just great. Of course, I always have 1 or 2 that don't make it, but as you do that, the more and more you do this, and the more you become familiar with them, it's easier to understand. But like I said, gardening's a process. You know, if you have a native plant that dies, just do some research, figure out what you could do differently the next time. Again, Tree of Life Nursery is really a great resource. If you go onto their website, they have information on how to water, how to plant, how to purchase. Really a great resource, and everything's online. So you don't necessarily have to go there to get the information. It's all online. Again, my name's Marianne, and I'm the director of the Coastkeeper Garden, and I love to answer questions. So if you have any questions about native plants, feel free to email me. My email is really easy. It's garden@coastkeeper.org. And until next week, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.